Kia ora koutou katoa. Here I am back in the office with Finn there behind me, cup of coffee and sermon time. I wanted to talk about love. And there's a great text in the Bible called 1 Corinthians 13, written by Paul in the 50s of the first millennium CE. And it goes kind of like this, and I'm going to read a verse and then I'll make some comments and read another verse, etc. Paul writes, "If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am as a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal." There are people who talk and write beautifully. They're a joy to listen to and read. There are people who talk persuasively and knowingly, in a way that makes you want to believe in what they say and to follow. There are people who speak wisely, whose words reach and touch deep into our hearts. Yet without love, the big, expansive type of love, the love that leaves no one behind, without that love, all those words and the people who are saying them and writing them, just noise, jarring noise. Verse 2, Paul writes, "And if I have prophetic powers, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing." Religious people over the centuries have valued spiritual gifts. Some can insightfully intuit the present and how it would likely impact on the future. Some can pray in such ways that lift our hopes and refresh our tired souls, so that the mountains before us seem to shrink in size. Some have remarkable sensitivity, remarkable wisdom, remarkable learning. Yet without love, the big, compassionate kind whose nature is to give, then all these spiritual gifts are worth nothing. Paul writes, "If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing." Generosity is a window into a person's faith. Similarly, the ability to go without, to make do with less, to willingly give up our gains. People who spend their lives giving to others often exemplify the best in Christianity. Yet without love, such service, such self-sacrifice, such benevolent faith is worth nothing. It's just religious noise. Paul writes, "Love is patient, love is kind." Love waits. It is patient. It's not pushy. Its power is in its patience. It does not impose itself, impressing others with authoritative words. It waits for the right time, for the time when the other is ready and willing to risk opening themselves to something different. It encourages rather than coerces. Love is kind. It meets you with a warm smile. It thanks. It praises. It notices and compliments. It goes out of its way to help, particularly to help those whom others have forgotten or ignored or wish to ignore. Love has a bias towards the little and the least. Paul goes on, love is not envious, or boastful, or arrogant, or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. There are attributes and actions that don't sit comfortably with love. Envy, wanting what another has, is common. Some would call it a necessary motivation to succeed in our world. But the world of love is steeped in gratitude. Love holds both a spirit of contentment and thankfulness, alongside a passion to see each and every person, ourselves included, experience security, love, and fulfillment. Now that's a very different definition of success. Doing wrong to others is the destructive pastime of fostering insecurity through poverty, violence, iniquity, and the like. Doing wrong to others is to cage their dreams, to curtail their hopes, and to corrupt the word love, making it into something that has to be earned, something that is conditional. As for truth, Pilate's perennial question. Well, truth is not a right doctrine, a right thought or attitude, or even a right action. Truth can't be packaged as a creed or proclaimed as a denomination, religion, or political philosophy. It's not the sum total of all knowledge and all wisdom. Indeed, it defies our attempts at definition. It's a jumble that we stumble through and then are surprised by. Pilate, if you remember, didn't get an answer in words from Jesus. Jesus simply looked at him. I'd like to believe that Pilate saw a look of loving kindness and was shocked by it. Paul goes on, it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. It's a grave mistake to imagine that in a situation of domestic violence, child abuse, or any kind of abuse, that love requires that the victims bear it and endure it. Such is not the nature of love. Love speaks out against injustice. Love builds up and restores. It doesn't pull down and destroy. Love acts to change the world, to change the very nature of the world, to care and to heal. And it is in the context of that mission to change the world that love bears, believes, hopes, and endures all that is hurled against it. Verse 8, love never ends. As for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. Who knows what and when the end will be? Will this planet go the way of all planets and someday cease to exist? If so, is permanence something to be sought? Or is it just a vanity, wanting our name and deeds to live on? Many people of faith believe in an afterlife where individuality and personality endure. Again, is this just our vanity? Maybe love, this big, transformative, healing love that I'm talking about, is all that endures. We plant seeds of this love, which others might water, fertilize, and tend, and the energy of which enriches the whole far beyond the length of our lifetimes. Will that love energy that we're part of generating come to an end? Probably, eventually, yes. But it might be billions of years away. Verse 11, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. A child needs love in order to grow and flourish. So love meets their need. At the same time, they are learning how to give love. As they grow, hopefully, they will learn that love isn't a transaction. That is, it isn't something you give in order to get. For an adult, again, hopefully, knows that love is really all about giving away without considering any return. And that mature love is not given conditionally but unconditionally. As adults, we also know that love is not just for the benefit of individuals, but for the building up of the whole community. Love enriches the very air that we breathe. It is very socialistic. But none of us have arrived at this adult place of unconditionality, of freely giving without expecting or wanting any return. Some days we love conditionally, other days, other moments unconditionally. The journey of loving takes a lifetime. Some days in our need we are children. Other days we surprise ourselves with unfettered generosity. On that lifetime journey, we come to know love, and we come to be known by love. And Paul concludes, and now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, and the greatest of these is love. These words from Paul's letter to the Corinthian community in the 50s remain as confrontational today as they did then. In the first years of that millennium, Paul's audience at Corinth valued the individual gifts of members, gifts in worship and knowledge and wisdom and in leadership. And Paul encourages the individuals with those talents to see themselves part of a whole community, a whole body, and use what they have for the benefit of all. A version of service above self. But Paul goes further, telling the talented Corinthians that their gifts and even their faith are just clanging noises, worth absolutely nothing, if they, as individuals and as a community, are not steeped, soaked in love. Today our cultures here in Aotearoa celebrate the gifts of individuals, some who are artists, entrepreneurs, musicians, managers, mentors, teachers, healers, political leaders, spiritual leaders. We celebrate their gifts and encourage them to use their gifts for the betterment of the whole community, which many do. But we also as a society slip into the fallacy that gifts correlate with worth, and mark this with the giving of money, prestige, and other rewards. Today's text is a corrective to such thinking. Without love, without compassion, without unconditional selfless giving, all that giftedness and hierarchy of value our society has created is worthless, and it won't last. Only these three abide: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love.